back, we felt that the winning team in this case was Johnny Cash. Right? We feel that the government of Westeros, I'll come back in a moment to Johnny Cash, were very good and very far advanced in one way when it comes to legislation, but now really needs to kind of perhaps check their legislation against the UN CRPD, particularly in relation to Article 12. We had a unanimous decision that you didn't meet the requirements of Article 12. In regards to Article 19, however, we had probably a 2-to-1 that says you failed on Article 19. However, Eve will explain to you where she felt you did quite well, and so forth. It was at these difficult times, you know, that I, as that middle judge, I was happy enough to hand it over to experts. What did I find? Not alone did one drink tea and the other drink coffee, but they almost agreed on nothing. Anyway, we then went on, and Yashida wants to make a further recommendation to the group, right? And we're going to get to all of that in a few minutes. And but just also, we may also be going over to the NGOs, Mr. Perret, I think maybe Westeros probably does need a good Attorney General. We won't give you the 3 years, 1 year though. Okay, and we will have Chief Advocate announcements and all the others in a few minutes. Eve, would you like to take Article 19?
Well, very well. I think my belief that Westeros had, while not achieving the best course of independent living for Mr. Brown, and perhaps not in every case, that perfection is not called for immediately, but there is a range of choices available to Mr. Brown. And many of those choices depend on a level of means that he currently does not have. So this ends up with the distinction being the level of choices, the range of choices made available to him versus the range of choices that the government will pay for. And there do appear to be, secured at least within the law, a range of choices made available to him, some of which or some portion of which of each will be paid for the government. They do allow the money to follow the person. The money may not be able to be sufficient to engage in every choice that he may want or every option that is available to him. And it is true that they've laid out the basis on which determinations will be made, to be starting with the person's choice, falling then to the representative's choice, and only when those two things fail, falling to what is a determination of the best interest of the person. But I think that there are still pieces here that need to be included more specifically in terms of deciding within balancing the best interests of the person and the choices. So I would have found that there was not a clear violation of Article 19, although clearly more that they could do.
So we'll just come back to Article 12 in a few minutes, but just, do you want to go to 19 as well, Yoshida?
19?
Huh?
My recommendation is...
Oh, okay, well then, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, as a supplemental opinion, as one of the members of the committee, I'd like to give the both party to about a recommendation on these cases. And so my recommendation is this. So the government and the parents both failed to confirm the will or preference of the James Brown. And I think both party needs to establish some kind of system to new system or new measure to confirm his will and preferences. And so I highly recommend that the parents and the government will discuss and establish the new system to confirm his will and preference, and then according to under his preference and will, so he can choose the new status to live and where to live and whom to live with. It's my recommendation.
And similarly on Article 12, I agreed with the majority entirely in finding that it appeared the law of Westeros made it rather too easy to have a representative appointed with you. There was not actually a provision for an independent advocate. There was a provision for a network, not necessarily tied to the individual, and no indication that there would be an independent voice for this person. A gap in terms of determining conflict of interest, in that it did not recognize that an unpaid caregiver could similarly have a conflict of interest. And then once a person has been appointed a representative, they are essentially a guardian with another name. No provision for independent checks on their decisions, no continuous monitoring, which is called for by Article 12. And once you are in a representative situation, quite difficult to escape from it. A court proceeding is not a simple way to get away from a representative agreement, and the person with the disability himself can only end the representative agreement if he clearly communicates his desire to end it, which is a fairly high standard for someone without the ability to communicate, as Mr. Brown is.
Thank you. And just to say where our little division was on Article 19, it was that, the whole notion that independent living, by just having the name on the door, the segregation, and I think part of the arguments that Johnny Cash, the complainants team, had put forward. So if you like, that's where we ended up with the split. I think this is our decisions, right? And we all agree, and I hope it's accepted. And we would really recommend to the Westeros government to examine your 2007 right, and see does it measure up with the true meaning of assisted decision making, and bring it to that point. And then, so finally, just for me now is just to help with these certificates, and the first is for Mr. Sanjay. Right, okay.
For best rebuttal.
So, you remember...
What's the award?
Best rebuttal. Congratulations, Sanjay.
Can I say a word?
Objections, Your Honor.
I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I am come back to my student days. I never got an award in Moot courts. So this is a dream come true scenario.
Okay. Overall advocate, and this didn't go to either of the first speakers, I'm afraid. Right? Oh, where's the complainant's first speaker? Anyway, it went to Francois. Sorry, I'm sorry about the name. What is you? We felt that not only was every word measured, but every breath. Well done. And now for the winning team. names. Yeah. Johnny Cash. Is it Varun Sanjay Jain again? And Ibitson Sanhori? And let me see, Jana Lipska. Not bad. Congratulations.
Copy that.
And down again. And we have to get a photograph here with the tree. Hey, yes, you should be in this photograph as well with them. Yes, you do. You should be in the photograph with them.
really?
Just hold on with the photographs.
Do you join us?
No, go ahead. Yourself.
Oh, we're all good.
No, I'm good.
Judges in the picture with the team
Hey, Sanjay, flip yours around.
Turn it around, Sanjay, yes.
One, two.
Excellent. Now, folks,
Bravo.
we know that all that talking earlier on didn't just happen by chance. To get up in front on a Saturday morning,
Supposed to give them the books.
right, at the end of a very tough week, and to have so much homework done, and to be as serious as they all were, please, a big, big round of applause. And a special thank you to Judge Eva and Judge Yashiku. And for myself, thank you very, very much. And see you next year with a brand new show.
We were going to open for questions.
Thank you very much to our committee. You did fantastically well, and also to all the advocates. You did brilliantly with quite a tricky problem. I'd like to open it to the floor now if anyone's got any questions for the committee about their judgment. Now's your chance. No questions at all?
I just have
One second, Eric.
our grounds for appeal. Two of the judges were in the picture with the wedding team. I do believe there might be some.
You'll have to file a written complaint in triplicate. Anyone else? Okay, we've got one. Just a, well, I'll come to you next, Sanjay. We'll just label you.
Just about the language, is it allowed also to present cases in another language than English? Is it for the committee?
You will have to look to the rules on that one. Thank you. Sanjay.
Yeah, he was talking about balancing the best interest with the choice. I mean, can we use this balancing argument in Article 19?
Okay. Would any of you
No. I didn't mean balancing. It was the way that it was laid out in the Westeros law, where it starts with choice. It starts with support. It starts with choice. It goes on to supported choice and only falls back to. It's not even actually best interest. It's an assumption that a person would not want to do anything that would cause them harm, only if you can't achieve choice or supported choice.
A question at the front? No.
It's for Eve. I would
Okay.
like to say.
Please get your mic if that's all right.
Sorry. It's for Eve. I'd just like to say, if you used the argument that perfection is not necessarily right away, and presumably that means that you get there sometime. But I'd like to know who decides who's going to be first to be imperfect, and how imperfect is that going to be? Who makes that choice?
That's a question for
Higher power.
what's his name? It's not what we know, it's what we don't know, and even.
Well, and I think just the language of Article 19 lays things out in rather broad ways. So have the opportunity to choose their place of residence and where and with whom they will live. the opportunity is within the opportunities that are available in a country or in an area where a person lives, and so that's the limitation on it. And the distinction more for me is about what the opportunities are and what the government will pay for.
Any further questions?
It's not what I like, it's not what I prefer, but it is written in fairly broad language in terms of there being a range.
Okay, any further questions from the floor? Jared, any questions? Okay. Okay, over here.
Yeah, I belong to the winning team.
With nothing useful to add, I concur with the arguments, but just to the judges, I'm wondering why there was limited emphasis on Article 19, because in our discussion we thought Article 19, this case has volumes. It speaks for Article 19, the whole inclusion, community participation, right to family, a holistic approach. Thank you. I'm just wondering why the judges didn't emphasize that.
There was less discussion about it because because there was more agreement, or they didn't want to discuss the agreement. You could feel free to go on about it.
No, we had our own.
Can I just explain, the Attorney General is somewhere in traffic. So if you just bear with us a few minutes, and then she will be handing out the certificates. So relax, but please stay here, and we'll be awarding the certificates very shortly. Unless you want to continue, but I think we've pretty much exhausted the grounds of appeal. So perhaps thank the judges again.
Thank you.
And we'll take a break for a few minutes, and hopefully the AG will be here shortly. Thanks.